All right, so tomorrow, guys, is your last quiz, all right? Your final is just going to be all the stuff that we reviewed when we reviewed with the seniors, plus this stuff I just added to the senior final. I added like 6 extra questions. So it's not a whole new material, not anything. It's everything that we've gone over a bunch. So I want to go over 2 Cramers rules, one that's a 2x2, meaning 2 equations with 2 variables, and one that's a 3x3, meaning 3 equations with 3 variables. And then a couple of the completing the squares. You're going to have 4 questions on your test quiz tomorrow. 2 Cramers, 2 circles. 1 2x2, 1 3x3. Okay, so first of all, let's look at these first 2 Cramers. What do you notice?
There only an x and a y.
Right, there's only an x and a y. Good. What else do you notice about how the equations look? Do they go x, then y, then an equal sign, then the answers? Okay. You need to, the first thing you need to do, guys, is you need to write it in standard form. You need to rewrite so it says x, then y, equal sign, and then the number. In order to get the signs right when you find your determinants, you have to have it in that order. So my second equation would say negative 3x. When I move negative 7y to the other side, what does it become? Plus 7y equals, when I move that 5 to the other side, what does it become? Negative 5. Please make sure you guys do that first. If you don't, you will have your signs wrong on the coefficients and stuff like that, and then everything is wrong. So since this is a 2x2, 2 variables, 2 equations, you have to find the determinant value, you have to find d sub x, and you have to find d sub y, correct?
Wait, Ms. Meadows,
yep.
So why wouldn't you just add the 3x to the 7y side? And so then that would make it 3x minus 7y.
God bless you. You could do that.
But would it change the answer?
The signs would be opposite, but if you did everything in the correct order, you'd be fine.
The equation would look different from that. Like,
that's okay. You'll have opposite signs from everyone else, but that's okay. It'll work itself out mathematically. I just think it's best to get in the habit of x, y equals number. If your brain works like that, Derek, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Just as long as you have your order correct. So your determinant matrix is just your coefficients. We're going to find the value of our determinant matrix. Our coefficients of x, my x column would be 5 and negative 3. My y column would be negative 9 and positive 7, right? And then we say our major, which is top left to bottom right. So that would be 5 times 7 minus your minor, which would be what? Negative 3 times negative 9. So 5 times 7 is 35 minus, what's negative 3 times negative 9? 27. Then 35 minus 27 is how much? 8. Positive 8. Okay, so we have positive 8. You guys will be able to use your calculators tomorrow. So make sure we do that. Okay. So now that we found our determinant matrix, that's fine. Now we find d sub x. So I'm going to write d sub x. I'm reminding myself what that is because what that means is instead of my x coefficients, what do I plug into that column? The answers. So instead of 5 and negative 3, I'm going to put 7, negative 5, and then my y is still going to be negative 9 and 7. So I have my major, 7 times 7. This is you guys showing me your work. So 7 times 7 minus the minor is what?
45.
Yep, positive 45. It's going to be negative 5 times negative 9. So 49 minus 45 gives me how much? 4, right? So now I find d sub y. I'm going to do the exact same thing, but instead of my y coefficients, what do I plug in for that column? The answer. So I have my x coefficients are 5 and negative 3, and then my y will be my answer, so 7 and negative 5. So I have 5 times negative 5, that's my major, 5 times negative 5 minus negative 3 times 7. So negative 25 minus negative 21. That's the same as plus, right? So I get negative what?
4.
Negative 4. All right, so we found these numbers. All right, big deal. What does that mean? You have to divide both of your d sub x, d sub y by the determinant itself. So when you divide 4 divided by 8, what do you get? 1/2. And when you divide negative 4 by 8, you get what? Negative 1/2. So your ordered pair is 1/2 comma negative 1/2. Now what can you do to tell me that you're right? You can plug it back in and check. But that is your answer, guys. This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for your ordered pair. You just have to show me all of the work on how you got there using Cramer's rule. Does that make sense? So in number 2, I'm not going to do number 2, but how should I rewrite number 2? What should my first equation say?
Negative 2x plus 3y is 0.
Oh, actually, when we move negative over, it becomes what? Positive. Yeah, so it would be 2x.
Oh, I moved the 3.
Plus 3, okay, so you had 2x minus 3y? Negative 2, okay, equals 0. There's nothing there, so it's 0. So whichever way you move it, that's fine, whatever. Just make sure your x's and y's are on the left-hand side, or one side, your number's on the other, and that your signs are correct. All right, let's scoot on down. Let's do number 4. All right, this is a little longer process, but nothing we can't handle. Again, this is a 3 by 3. Why is this a 3 by 3? There's an ordered triple. I have 3 equations and 3 variables. So I need to find my determinant itself. I need to find d sub x, d sub y, and d sub z. So the way that we go about this, guys, it takes a second to do, but if you stay organized, this is super easy. My first determinant is just the coefficient matrix. So I have 1, 1, 4. That's the coefficient of my x's. My second column is 1, negative 1, 2. That's the coefficients of my y's. And my third column is 1, 1, 1. That's the coefficient of my z's. Now, what do I have to do? When I have a 3 by 3, what do I have to do that's special here before I can go ahead and finish solving? Anybody remember? What do I have to do? I have to recopy the first 2 columns. 1, 1, 4, and then 1, negative 1, 2. Once you do that, you have now formed 3 majors and 3 minors. And we multiply the majors together and subtract what we multiply the minors together. So I have 1 times negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. 1 times 1 times 4 is plus 4. And 1 times 1 times 2 is plus 2. Questions? Minus, I have a minor here, here, and here. So I have 4 times negative 1 times 1 is negative 4. 2 times 1 times 1 is plus 2. 1 times 1 times 1 is plus 1. So now we simplify. Do your parentheses first. So negative 1 plus 4 is 3, plus 2 is 5. Minus negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. What's 5 minus a negative 1? 6. So my determinant value is 6. So right up here I could say, okay, to equal 6. So now I'm going to do the exact same thing 3 times, but I'm going to find d sub x, d sub y, and d sub z. So just like we did in the 2 by 2, instead of using my x coefficients for my d sub x, what do I plug into that column? The answers. So I have negative 2, 0, and 3. My y coefficients are 1, negative 1, 2. So 1, negative 1, 2. And my z's are 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So what do I do now? What do I have to do first? Recopy the first 2 columns. Negative 2, 0, 3. 1, negative 1, 2. Excuse me. And then I have my majors. So I have 1, 2, 3 here. So we're going to say, okay, negative 2 times negative 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 times 3 is plus 3. 1 times 0 times 2 is 0. We love when there's zeros in there. Now I have minus. Well, here's my minors. I have 3 times negative 1 times 1 is negative 3. 2 times 1 times negative 2 is minus 4. And 1 times 0, oh, as soon as I have something with 0, it's 0. So in my parentheses, 2 plus 3 is 5. Minus negative 3 minus 4 is negative 7. What's 5 minus a negative 7? Minus a negative gives me plus, right? So it's how much? 12. Good. So my d sub x is 12. So I can say, okay, well, this value here is 12. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay. All right. So now let's find d sub y. Again, this process isn't hard. It's just a pain. So I have my x coefficients, which are 1, 1, 4. Since I'm finding y, that means I plug my answers in for the y column. So it's negative 2, 0, 3, negative 2, 0, and 3. And then I have my z's, which are 1, 1, 1. Recopy the first two columns. 1, 1, 4, negative 2, 0, 3. And then we take our majors, which would be here, here, and here. So 1 times 0, yes, 0. Negative 2 times 1 times 4 is negative 8. 1 times 1 times 3 is plus 3. Right? Yes, we're good? Okay, minus. Just check me. I make silly mistakes too. 4 times 0, okay, good, 0. And then 3 times 1 is plus 3. 1 times 1, negative 2. So negative 8 plus 3 is negative 5 minus 3 minus 2 is 1. What's negative 5 minus 1? Negative 6. So my d sub y is negative 6. Now we do this lovely process one more time, d sub z. And instead of my z coefficients, that's where I plug in my answers. So my x coefficients are 1, 1, 4. 1, 1, 4. My y coefficients are 1, negative 1, 2. And my z's, instead of the coefficients, I put answers, so it's negative 2, 0, 3. We recopy 1 and 2, so 1, 1, 4, 1, negative 1, 2. Now to find my majors, I take top left to bottom right. So I take those 3. And I say 1 times negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. 1 times 0, okay, good, 0. That's have 0. And then negative 2 times 1 times is negative 4. Minus, I have my minors. Here, here, here. 4 times negative 1 times negative 2 gives me positive 8. 2 times 0, oh, 0. And then 3 times 1 times 1, plus 3. So negative 3 minus 4 is negative 7. Minus 8 plus 3 is 11. What's negative 7 minus 11? Negative 18. Good. So d sub z is negative 18. So now that we've done all of this legwork, I need an ordered triple. I have 3 variables. I need an ordered triple, an x and a y and a z. So I take each of my d subs, d sub x, d sub y, d sub z, and I divide it by the determinant. So I divide this by 6, this by 6, and this by 6. So my ordered triple is, what's 12 divided by 6? 2. What's negative 6 divided by 6? And what's negative 18 divided by 6? There you go. And what can you do with that answer? You can plug it back in. Questions on Cramer and his silly rules. Then 2 of your questions, 2 are Cramer's rules, and 2 are just like this. I'm going to give you the circle equation, and you have to write it in standard form, tell me the center, tell me the radius. So remember, the standard form of the equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals our radius squared, right? Our h and k is the center, correct? You with me? All right, so I look at this, and everything's already on the same side. I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to worry about moving anything to one side or another. I do have to collect my variables, though. Do you guys see how I have a positive x squared and a positive y squared? We want to keep our x's together and our y's together to complete the square. So I'm going to rewrite this as x squared plus 8x plus my square. I'm going to complete it. Then I have plus y squared minus 4y plus my square equals, what do I do with the constants?
Move it to
I move it to the other side. So my -7 becomes what? Positive. Now we do all this, the basic algebra to complete the square. You take your b term. Your b term is right here. So I have 8 and I divide it by 2. This is going to tell me everything I need to know. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I know in my parenthesis I have x, it's a +4, so it'd be x plus 4 squared. And now I have to square that. What is 4 squared? 16. What you add to one side, you add to the other, right? Now I have plus, I'm going to take this b term. It's -4 divided by 2 gives me -2. So my parenthesis is y minus 2. Why is it -2? Because that 2 is negative. Good. So when I square -2, this becomes 4. If I add 4 to one side, I add 4 over here to the other side. So equals. Guys, what is 7 plus 6 plus 4? So equals 27. Mm-hmm. So let's look. Here is our equation in standard form. We just wrote it. So your equation in standard form is x plus 4 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 27. All right, you guys with me? Now, what is the center of this circle? What's the center? It's -4, +2. It's the opposite of what's in the parentheses. Because look, in your equation here, this is a negative. So when you pull it out, you got to switch the signs. What is the radius?
I got 9 square root 3.
It's the square root of 27, right? Right? Now, is that simplified? Am I going to be okay with that? No. So let's think about this. 27 is the same as 9 times 3, right? Right? What's the square root of 9?
3.
So your radius would be 3 square root of 3. So you got to do all of those things, guys. Make sure you do all of those things. All right, we okay? Jacqueline, you all right? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, so look, 6 is a little different because everything's not in the same pretty order like we had it. Just move everything. If I move -x squared, -y squared to the other side, don't you agree it becomes x squared plus y squared? Right? Plus 14x plus 6y plus 22 equals 0. Now it looks like all the other problems we've done. So now go back to what we're doing. Collect your x's. So I have x squared plus 14x plus your square plus y squared plus 6y plus your square. And then what happens with +22? It becomes -22. Perfect. So guys, go through it. Complete the square. Bring down your 14, divide it by 2, gives me 7. Tells me everything we need to know. X plus 7 squared, and then 7 squared is 49. So I'm going to add 49 over here. Then I have my 6 divided by 2 is 3, so this gives me y plus 3 squared, and 3 squared is 9. So I'm going to add 9 over here. What's -22? Plus 49 plus 9. What'd you get? Equals 36. So there's your equation in standard form. Was it plus 7 plus 3? Okay, so x plus 7 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 36. What is the center? -7, -3. Perfect. And what is your radius? The square root of 36, which equals 6, right? Good. All right, you guys, look at this one. It's a tad bit different. I'm doing all of these because each one of them is a little different the way they're set up. Everything's on one side already. We're good. So I have x squared plus 12x plus the box plus y squared. Is there anything else with y? There isn't, is there? So there's two things you can do here. You can just leave it, or you can say plus 0y if you want to, if that makes you feel better. Equals 13, but you don't have to. You'll see in a second. I moved -13 over, it became positive. So if we're going to complete the square here, 12 divided by 2 gives me 6, right? So I have x plus 6 squared. When I square 6, I get 36. So I'm going to add 36 here. Now I have, this is 0, right? What's 0 divided by 2? 0. Then this is going to be 0, and this is going to be 0. So do I have, can I write y plus 0 squared? Sure. Do I have to? You could just write y squared. If you want to write, if there's no b term with your x squared or your y squared, it's just 0. You can write it like that if you want to. Okay, so then equals, what's 13 plus 36? 49. So here's your equation in standard form. You can write it one of two ways. You could write it x plus 6 squared plus y plus, that's a 0, squared equals 49. Or you could write x plus 6 squared plus y squared equals 49. This is the way you guys would see it. Like if they gave you something like this and said, tell me the center and the radius, that's the way you would see it. You wouldn't see it with the plus or minus 0. But if you want to write like that, it's fine. So what would the center be in this case? Negative 6, 0. And then what would your radius be? It'd be the square root of 49, which equals 7. All right, last one, and then we're done. Collect your x's, collect your y's. So I have x squared plus 8x plus a square plus y squared plus 18y plus my square equals negative 86. All right, take that 8. 8 divided by 2 equals 4. So I have x plus 4 squared. 4 squared is 16, so I'm going to add 16 over here. Then I have 18 divided by 2 equals 9. So this is going to give me plus y plus 9 squared. And 9 squared is 81. So I'm going to add 81 over here. What is negative 86 plus 16 plus 81?
11.
Yep, equals 11. So there's your equation in standard form. X plus 4 squared plus y plus 9 squared equals 11. So what's my center?
Negative 4, negative 9.
It is negative 4, negative 9. Perfect. And then what's your radius, guys? Square root of 11. Can you break that down?
No.
No, so you just leave it. Just leave it. All right, how do we feel?
Good.
All right, good. Feel better now?
Yeah.
All right, and then Valentina wrote you guys a little note. But like I sent it to from Notability, so I guess I hit I erased half of her name, but yeah, they think it's really cool to draw on Mommy's thing. So I'll upload this now.